If you've been using a smartphone, a computer, or really anything digital, you're very familiar with passwords. Passwords for apps, a password to unlock your car, and even a password to get some butter popcorn popping for Netflix and chill. Passwords are an essential part of all digital products today, and the history of these digital passwords is more important than the password itself. Secret words, symbols, and signs have a history as old as humans ourselves. But digital passwords were first only used in the 1960s. In 1960, an MIT computer science professor created the first digital password to solve a big problem. When he built a giant time-sharing computer, several users needed their own private access to the terminals in order to track usage separately and independently, as well as keep their data independent and not getting mixed up with other users. So his solution was just to give each user their own password to access the terminals and the computer. Simple, right? But just a year later, in 1961, the password system was hacked. PhD student Alan Shear was only given 4 hours of access to this shared computer, but he had come up with simulations that needed much more time to run. So his solution was to simply print out the password file on the computer and then log in as different users and just run his simulation against their accounts. And so how did this shape computer authentication systems? The next 60 years proved to be very complex, involving viruses, hackers, leaks, and a curious set of emails from Nigerian princes. And now let's get to the problem. Computer systems have a constant battle between ease of use and security. Improving one of them will always make the other one worse. And this has been an ongoing story of computers. So the first thing people started to do was just say, hey, maybe we shouldn't store the passwords in a plain text file on the computer itself. So passwords were then stored using one-way encryption, which is nothing but a secret formula to jumble the passwords into something else before being stored on the computer. The only way to get to the actual password is to have the encryption key. But this didn't stop bad actors from just guessing the passwords through sheer trial and error. That might seem difficult to do, but with the help of a computer, it's easier than you think. So any password has d raised to n possible combinations. D is the possibilities per digit, and n is the length of the password. So for a password that only allows lowercase letters and a length of 10, there are 26 raised to 10 possible combinations. That's 141 trillion combinations. Too many for a human to go through, but will take a computer less than an hour. So this was now a human problem of convincing people not to use simple passwords. But people didn't care because they just weren't using their computers as much, and the hackers didn't really have access to their computers. And then came the internet and the dot-com mania of the late 1990s. Suddenly, people had multiple accounts and passwords, and all of them needed to be kept secure. So what's the solution? Well, you just have to make it more difficult for computers to be able to just guess your password. This can be done by increasing the length of the password or increasing the possibilities per digit, the complexity. In 2003, Bill Burr drafted an 8-page guide on how to create secure passwords. This went on to dictate password requirements for everything that we use till today, and Bill is very sorry about that. You see, Bill focused on increasing the possibilities per digit or complexity of the passwords. His hypothesis was that people will find it easier to remember shorter passwords. So this is why each of your passwords has to have uppercase and lowercase letters, a digit, and a special character. And even worse, you have to change your password every 90 days. Much of what I did, I now regret, said Bill Burr in 2017. The problem was that all of these rules just made it harder for humans to actually remember their passwords, and thus led to behaviors like reusing of passwords across websites and posting of post-it notes with their passwords written down. Looking back, it would have probably been better to have longer passwords that humans could actually remember and that were hard for computers to guess. Something like this is harder to hack than something like this. Over the years, we've added more layers of security like two-factor authentication and password managers. But the underlying trade-off between ease of use and security still holds. We've just been making computers harder to use in favor of higher security. But let's think about the future for a bit. You might think that we're always going to be stuck with passwords forever. I mean, with hackers getting access to ever more powerful computers, we should start putting emoji into our passwords, right? The reality is that the entire computer industry sees all of these problems with passwords and is trying to eliminate them entirely. Just by the numbers, companies are spending thousands of dollars on cybersecurity per employee. Phishing attacks, password resets, database leaks, all of these things are causing millions of dollars of losses every time they occur. So for the first time ever, all the top tech companies are coming together to battle a common enemy. Apple, Google, Microsoft, and more companies have committed to supporting a passwordless standard called FIDO. So to push the envelope on both security and ease of use, systems are beginning to use silent factors like device fingerprinting, risk assessment, and biometrics to identify when the regular user is on the system versus a bad actor. Devices and apps now use Touch ID and Face ID, which is much harder for anyone to forget. And many times you won't even have to log in if you're using the same device and workflows that you always use. While passwords won't disappear entirely and overnight, their usage will reduce over time. Just make sure to not lose your phone. If you don't know the story of how Airbnb used 3 air mattresses on Craigslist to disrupt the entire hotel industry, this is the video for you to watch next.